Hi.
Never.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Review Mirror with myself and Taylor and her other half, Sheldon, who decided to ring in just as we were doing it. Oh, and his brother as well. Look at that, live from London.
Do you want me to call you back or do you want to message me? Oh, hello, Wayne.
Oh, and his dad. There's his dad as well. This is the gentleman who sends me the stuff about the UFOs on the radar.
Do you want to message me? Okay, love you.
So anyway.
Bye. Oh, Finn is sleeping, by the way. He's in his rock.
Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
All right, love you. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Right. So anyway. Very good timing. What we're going to do today, we've already got a rather nice top 10 list for you, but there's a couple of.
You got a nice list. Oh.
I'm listing.
Should we just excuse the fish tank?
Excuse me. It's going to be that we're changing the water today because they're swimming around with gas masks on because they keep farting. But we have got.
In fairness, we only changed it a week ago. A week ago?
Week and a half.
Week and a half. So it shouldn't be that bad, but it is. They keep making babies. They do.
Right. We have got a couple of videos that we're going to do because we haven't done a couple of videos for a while. So we're going to do our usual reviewing style, which is look at it and go, yeah. So there is a strange UFO caught in Mexico City. Now, do you remember me saying a while back that there's lots and lots of UFO sightings recently, but they seem to be predominantly in South America and Mexico. So we'll see what it's like, but most of the ones that I've seen...
Stolen.
What, just because it's in Mexico?
No, he stole a Chris.
Oh.
Okay, Dad.
Anyway, let's have a look at this video that's in Mexico. I mean, quite frankly, it looks like some Superman's underpants flying through the air, but let's have a look. Put your phone down.
Oh, look. I was clicking on our radio show.
Okay. Right, let's have a look at this. Is it done by the same people who do the videos that we look at and go, nah? Let's have a look.
I think it is.
Home not.
No, and then you write out.
Yeah, it is. So that's a big red flag for a start. Docu-Mysterio.
Oh, wow. Look at the thing that's next.
Funeral directors reporting rising cremation.
Tap your
anyway,
range
look. It's done on a mobile phone, and it literally looks like somebody's white underpants.
It looks like somebody recorded the landscape because it's not moving or anything. It literally looks like someone was recording, and then that was edited in.
Do you know what it looks like with all those little dots? It looks like a net of balloons.
Oh, yeah.
I think the one that's...
Those are stars. No, it's moving, isn't it? That's pretty cool.
That one's a good call. This is a nighttime one, and it's a triangle-shaped craft. You can just see the... Was that you? No, one
it wasn't me.
Is there a dog near us? Oh, wow. I don't know if you heard it, but yeah, the dog just let rip on camera. Yeah, that's a triangle-shaped... That's a big triangle-shaped aircraft. Above
big old Doritos.
Some blocks of flats in Mexico. That's huge. That first one, I think, is like a rubbish. It looked like you know, when you see people at carnivals with all the balloons, it looked like a net.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like a net of balloons with all the balloons at the top. And
here we are.
Going down like that. That is us. So, but that one there, I think that's a good call, that one.
Wayne said very early today.
I think, yeah, well, we're very early today because...
Finley's in the routine of going to sleep at 9, but he has a bath at 8, so we can't do it our normal time. And Dad has a Zoom call at 7.
Skype.
We were going to...
Skype.
We were going to do it at 7, but he has to be on the phone call.
Our paranoid...
Oh!
What?
It's the leather.
Oh, it's a chair. I thought you let rip.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did. I thought you let rip.
I said no.
So yeah, no, I've got a Skype meeting with our paranormal team tonight at 7. So. Oh, hiya, Will. You all right, mate? Nice to see you in here.
Chris?
Yes, it is. So anyway, that's a UFO video. The first one, no.
Got subtitles and everything.
We are subtitles because we got a strong English
Quick,
accent.
say something.
Was ist das?
Oh no, there's like a 5-minute lag.
Right. So yes, our first list. No, that UFO video. First one, nah. I do think that was a series of balloons in the net that have been let go. But the second one, that night video, I'll put the link up actually in here, and then you guys can watch the video yourself and see what you make of it. Hang on. Let's come back here, and I'll put the link up in the chat room. And that should be, there you go. Click on that or copy it and paste and see what you think. The first, we didn't watch them all because otherwise it'd be pretty boring for you guys. The first video, I think was a net of balloons. But the second one, the nighttime one with the triangle-shaped aircraft, I think that was a good
I was
call.
just watching this and I was like, why can't I hear us through the speakers? Because we're here.
And because I have it muted.
No, but because we're speaking, but I'm watching it. Like, why can't I hear us?
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah. Who did I stand on? Oh, sorry, Ghost. I stood on the big wolf. Right. So, and there was another one. Oh, there you go.
No,
Right.
wait, because Chewie's there. I mean, yeah.
Right. There was another one before we carry on. Where was it? I'm not clicking on who do you think you are, what gender are you. I'm not doing that quiz. No, because I'm a bloke. I have a willy, and I pee standing up. Occasionally have a cheeky, sly sit down with.
What did Will call them? He said like treating myself to a sit down.
Yeah. But no, I'm sorry. I was born in the 70s, so my thing is, if you got a willy, you're a bloke. If you got a what's it, you're a woman. End of. Anything else is your preference. Whether you're gay, bi, straight, or you like rubbing yourself against car exhaust pipes, that's your preference, not your gender.
Hello, Wayne.
Big difference. Here's Wayne in there. Hello, Wayne. Right. So let's crack on. Forget those videos. Let's do this. Right. Now, the list we brought you today is actually quite a good one. Funnily enough, ties in nicely with the videos we just watched, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it was 10 truly unbelievable claims of UFO and alien encounters. And talking of alien encounters, my grandson is just about waking up. You may hear yelling in the background. Right. So, do you want to read this or shall I read this?
Now we're both stuck.
Do you want to read this or do you want me to read it? Yeah, thanks. Right. George Adamski. And this is in at number 10. At one point, George Adamski was very much considered the real deal in terms of contact with an extraterrestrial race. Even today, there's a disagreement among UFO circles as to whether his initial purported encounters were actually genuine. And I've just realised you've nicked my packet of crisps. Though plenty of believers in those are still sure that Adamski went on to fabricate and outright manufacture more stories, whether for money, attention, or both. This is it. This is the story. True or not, beginning in November 1952, several months after...
Oh. Do you know what? North Korea. Is it North Korea that Kim Jong-un's in?
Yeah.
Do you know what South Korea has estimated his weight to be?
Go on.
130 kilograms.
That's heavier than me.
It's heavier than me.
That's heavier than me. But I don't do kilograms. I'm 14.5 stone. So anyway, let's get back on track. 1952, after several months of channel directions, he would reportedly witness and capture a picture of flying saucers.
20.4 stone.
A picture of a flying 20 stone. That little tiny Korean dictator.
That's why they said he had a heart attack.
Oh, he's a beanbag.
20 stone. Do you think about how short
Right,
he is?
right.
A beanbag.
This is the UFO that he found. Now, this is one of the most famous UFO pictures of all time.
Is it?
Yeah, I've always thought it looked like somebody threw an old car hubcap across the sky. Went. I'll see if I can. Can I save the image? Right. I'll see if I don't know if I'll be able to post it in here. I'll try. If not, what I'll do is I'll put it up on the Dark Mirrors Facebook page, and then you can make your mind up yourself. And you'll see the famous UFO I'm talking about. But to me,
they're using a Tushine.
to me, get back on track. Karate chop. Yeah. It looks like somebody's thrown a hubcap off a car and taken a photo with a couple of extra bits added on it. Anyway. What was that strange rumbling noise that just came from the sofa, Lindsay? Why have you gone bright red? Anyway, we'll carry on without the added sound effects from Lindsay's backside. At the time this guy was making claims of these pictures, he was also telling people that he'd been to the moon and Venus and various other locations in outer space. Yeah, right. Even his most ardent supporters were beginning to distance themselves from him because, quite frankly, it sounds like a nut job. If there was any truth in the initial claims of George Adamski with his photo, as it says here, it's a shame that he ruined it all by telling everybody he'd been to Venus and Mars and everything. What I'll do, I've taken a picture and I will put it up in the on our Facebook page for you. You can have a look at it and make of it what you want. It still looks like somebody threw a hubcap through the sky. Elizabeth. Oh yes, I remember this one. Yeah, you guys may remember this one. Elizabeth Clara, who reckons she conceived an alien child on another planet. To me, it looks like she's holding a baby Jabba the Hutt, but you know. Oh, she's from South Africa as well. I'm not saying that South Africans go around getting themselves up to duff by aliens in the slightest. Where's your other half from?
I was going to say.
Did you get pregnant?
Yeah.
He doesn't look like Jabba the Hutt. Around the same time.
Yes, he does.
No, he looks like a chubbly. He's a chubbly. He's got a chub. Or shoulder. At around the same time that Adamski was making his claims in the late 50s, in South Africa, Elizabeth Clara would state not only that she made contact with an alien life form, but she'd gone to his home world and me love you long time, $20. And many skeptics would point out how many details of her claims were almost the same as Adamski's, which was the previous guy. Not to be confused with Adamski, who did the song Killer, which would be weird. According to Clara, she successfully called down the alien she called Akon. Akon. Who would later arrive in his scout ship. What did she do? Did she do like a Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer in that show, like the dust from above? Or she did a monkey?
Yeah.
And called him down? Or did she go... That's what he said.
I prefer the monkey.
The monkey. Yeah, from there, he'd pick her up in his scout ship, and then they go to the main mothership, and then travel to Metron. Akon's... I can't get over that name, Akon. Akon's home planet.
Is Akon a rapper?
Yeah. Which, according to Clara, was in the Alpha Centauri system. However, the son they conceived would remain with Akon on Meton. Akon from Meton. And his son stayed there. Oh, surprise.
Bacon.
As you might imagine, this did little for her credibility, turning around saying that she had the baby and then it was with the dad. But she nevertheless stuck to her story, despite the fact she was almost universally not believed. So what do you reckon? This woman was
Akon, a blood test.
Akon, and went to Metron. No, not Metron. It's Meton. Akon and Meton. Akon got his meat on with her. And then they had the son Bacon.
Is it actually Bacon? I just
nobody knows the name.
Oh.
Nobody knows the name. But I just thought Akon, Meton, Meton, however you say it. Meton. Oh, Bacon. What do you reckon?
I think she's a dirty liar. I'm kidding. I don't know. That photo looks like she's holding.
That's not her. She's from the 50s.
Oh, okay. I wasn't listening.
That's yeah.
Whoopsie.
The trouble is, though, isn't it? It's with anything that happens, unless you've got witnesses or credible witnesses, no one's going to believe you. I mean, it could have genuinely happened, but no one's going to believe you. Um, I would say I'd abstain and sit on the fence on this one, but I do think bollocks, mate. Innit?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
She's from the 50s, so she's not alive now. Well, she could be alive.
Back then, they weren't really known for coming out with all these fantastic Mac stories. I mean, that was the start of like sci-fi magazines and things, but you know, what do you make of it? Because we don't know. Let's come back into the chat room and have a look. Polygraph. Oh, well, Wayne's there as well.
Why
Hey,
am I
Wayne,
not getting?
you all right?
Oh, I am getting messages now. I have this up so I can see the messages. But we're on this, but they haven't come through. Other than now.
Well, that first one, I still think the guy threw a hubcap because it is that whenever you watch the UFO shows, it's that picture that literally looks like a hubcap about that big, and it's at an angle like that, and it's got a bit on the top and 3 round things underneath, and it looks just like somebody went whoa with a big old hubcap off a Chevy or something, and then just went. Because if I remember rightly, he took a series of photos. I'm sure there were
not including me. We have 3 viewers in the show. Say hello.
That's actually the people in the chat room. Oh yeah, thank you very much for joining us all. Sorry it's so early. I've got a Skype meeting tonight at 7, and we've had to change the time from 9 till 7 because of Junior over there. So we will be with you every Sunday at 7 p.m. But it's just today we're early.
So while you're making your dinner and stuff, you can just listen to us in the background. What time do people have dinner in Yorkshire?
You live in Yorkshire and you don't know?
No. Isn't it like 5?
It's between 5 and 7. Anyway, in at number 8, hang on. Do you reckon she had a? Do you reckon?
No.
Does any of you reckon she had a wicked way with Akon from Meaton and had a baby Bacon? No. Number 8, Ludwig Pullman develops friendship with race of aliens. Right. This is in mid-60s, and it was a German businessman. Would you like to read this one out?
Oh, I thought it's South Africa.
No.
He's hungry. In the mid-1960s, German businessman Ludwig Pullman would claim to have discovered an alien base in Brazil.
An alien base or race?
Base.
How low can you go?
Really low.
Yeah.
And furthermore, to have established contact with its occupants. He had first made contact with one of these mysterious visitors.
Mysterious visitors.
On a Bombay, now called Mumbai, train around 1964. He began speaking with him.
He met this guy on a train in Bombay.
He met an alien.
On a train in Bombay, as you do.
It's called a Bombay train.
Bombay, which is now called Mumbai.
Train. On a...
He met the guy on a train in Bombay.
That's what you think. I like to say that's the name of the train. Anyway, he began to speak with him and noticed how strange his voice was and how perfectly white his hair glowed. He would meet the same figure again later, learning that its name was, according to Pullman, Satu Ra.
That's it, Satu Ra.
When he was on business in South America several years later, he would meet up with the apparent alien. He's hungry. Being once more, as well as members of his family.
So is that members of the aliens family?
Yeah.
So why would a Nordic-looking alien? Because it can only be described as Nordic if he had the white glowing hair.
I was thinking, because it was back in the 60s, how many albino people would be back in the 60s? Maybe it's one of those situations. Like if you hadn't seen one before.
My only problem I've got with all of this is why on earth would an alien called Satu Ra be travelling on a train in
with
Bombay?
His family.
No, he's on his own in Bombay.
No.
In Bombay, and then he went to South America and met up with the guy and showed off his members of the family. I mean, if they made friends.
Oh,
yeah.
Let me keep reading.
All right, you carry on reading.
Among the many claims that made by Pullman is that the alien visitors were running various programs and experiments with terrestrial fruit. which they were hybridizing at their secret base on the planet. Furthermore, he was given a crystal ring that would glow and heat up slightly when the aliens are nearby. Perhaps one of the most outlandish of Palman's stories is only because of its human-like quality, is the hearing of a disaster that had befallen an alien ship on another planet. One of the aliens had been introduced to previously, named
Oh,
Ziti.
he'd been introduced to this Ziti.
Yeah, was apparently killed. Shortly after this event, coincidentally or not, came several sightings of a large silver disc where Palman claimed the aliens had their base. Needless to say, while many in the UFO community are aware of Palman's alleged encounters, most distance themselves from such a claim. His UFO was in the workshop.
So right, let me get this right. A Nordic alien met him on a train in Bombay in the 60s, and then later on, this same guy happened to be in South America, and he met up with the same alien who introduced him to his family and a friend called Ziti, who was killed, and they were experimenting with hybridizing fruit from their planet. Terrestrial fruit. I'm sorry, but there so many jokes
The
spring to mind.
terrestrial fruit.
Terrestrial
of my
fruit.
loins.
I'm just not going to go there because I'll probably offend a lot of people. Terrestrial fruit that they were hybridizing at their secret bases on the planet.
Did he win?
I don't know about that. What do you guys reckon?
My favourite one got through to the final.
Cool. As we conduct genetic experiments with GM crocs, etc. Crocs. So alien races doing it would be no different. It's true, but why the hell
And
would
back in the 60s, that started, didn't it? GMO stuff. Or was it talked about in the 60s?
you talked about, but it wasn't started till late 80s, as far as I'm aware. I just can't get why he's a UFO was in the workshop. Is that why he was on a train in Mumbai?
Oh, that's why I read it. I didn't come up with it. I just read it from the comments.
No. I think it's like I said before, with a lot of things,
Shall we make another
especially in the paranormal world, you know yourself, you have to have
Oh, sorry.
millions of eyewitnesses, because if you don't, no one's going to believe a word you say. I think it's plausible, that one.
Yeah.
It is plausible.
Well, especially him saying, "Oh, this is a base," and then later there being several sightings there.
Yeah, just say coincidentally. And what about his ring glowing whenever there's an alien near?
So does mine.
I've warned you about that sort
When
of
I
stuff.
have spicy food, otherwise known as a sting.
Right, moving swiftly on from Taylor's ring sting. Number 7. Walter Ritzie develops telepathic abilities after chance meeting with aliens. No. What the hell are you doing? Anyway, any more messages in there?
Nope.
No. Okay. Details of this guy's encounter are not particularly outlandish. There's apparently a persistent feeling among many in UFO circles that a pinch of salt should perhaps be at the ready.
Oh, just been watching a film about Phil Schneider.
Oh yes, yeah, he's the one who was got rid of, isn't he?
He claimed,
The pew pew pew.
scrap papa.
Yeah, he was there when a load of CIA and FBI guys had a shootout with aliens.
He claimed underground network of tunnels where aliens
Were conducting various experiments.
Yeah, I read that very wrong.
Hang on, let me just put that up in the room there. There.
What? Oh.
But okay, and here is
Hey,
here's the new member of the team. Turn him around so everybody can see him. This is Mr. Finley. Hang on, I'll get back to that in a second. So this is our new researcher, Finley, isn't it? Boop.
It's not very good yet. He can't type too good.
No, we have to
Only
do
like
typing for him.
3-letter words.
Yeah, the Phil Schneider thing. I've seen some of his films, and I've seen his the one where he stood up on stage and talked about it. But yeah, he was found a few months after coming out with all this,
In his chair.
garroted. And
In his chair.
Yeah, and they said it was suicide. Look, even my little hand's doing the flappy paddles. Suicide. Suicide. He did it himself. What do you think? I can hear a song by Will Smith. Here come the men in black. They won't let you remember. Right. Where were we? We were on this bit, yeah. So anyway, this Walter Rizzi, he comes from Bolzano in Italia, and this happened. This happened 10 years after an incident in 1978. After pulling his car to the side of the road near an underpass to get some sleep, Rizzi would awaken to see a disc-shaped craft hovering near his vehicle. Even more concerning was the humanoid entity making his way towards him. The being would communicate with Rizzi using telepathy. And it's interesting to note that... Oh, yes, you're getting some milk in a minute. That, similar to the Pullman story, the alien Rizzi met described how they were looking for vegetation, fruit, and minerals that are rich on Earth and a great value to them. And in a similar manner to many sightings of the time, you've got to remember that this guy started speaking in the late 70s, early 80s. This incident happened 10 years earlier, 60s. The witness would state that he was warned of an impending disaster that would affect around 80% of the planet. In the 70s, 80s, we had the threat of thermonuclear war then, didn't we? But apparently this chance encounter gave him telepathic abilities. There's not a lot more on it. Just says that this guy says he met an alien when he went to go and get a kit, and then it gave him
Sylvia went home.
Telepathic abilities. Yeah, we're trying to do this, you know.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I can see it.
You know.
Even Finn is watching it.
You know. What do you think?
Yeah.
What was that?
I wasn't paying attention.
You weren't paying attention?
No. There's food on the TV. What do you want me to do?
The Italian guy reckons he got to a motorway.
Oh yeah, and
bridge,
telepathically spoke with him.
Went to sleep, woke up, an alien hovering beside his car. There's a name for people that do that when you wake up. There's people wandering around your car. What do they call them?
Doggers.
Thank you, doggers. And apparently, it gave him telepathic abilities.
I need his line.
What do you guys make of it? Do you know what? Trying to do this show when you've got a tailor like this, and then you've got this young guy who's trying to wrench my eyebrow off. Ooh. Right, so
he's taking over. He's taking over.
So,
hey guys.
Well, apparently he's now got telepathic abilities, and he's reaching out to everybody in there.
Hey guys, I'd like to tell you about this one time I saw an alien. He's on my jammies.
Was that no?
His
No,
jammies.
no,
Look,
no,
his jammies.
No. He's trying to. I can see the aliens and the spaceships on his pajamas. Yes. Okay.
Oh.
So, what do you make of it?
To be honest.
What do you make of it?
I don't think he's telling the truth.
Do you reckon he was making it up? Do you reckon it was all a dream?
I think it was all a dream.
Okay. Well, so apparently, according to our new researcher, yeah, it was all a dream he had. But I remember reading about this elsewhere, and he had those. I can't remember what those tests are. The cards, the Vern cards, or the cards with different symbols on, and you have to use some
tarot.
Telepathic ability. No, there's a special name for them. They got 4 different symbols or 5 different symbols. But they did that with him, and he didn't.
A deck of cards.
He didn't get them any more right than you or I would. So I think.
Oh, the ones where you're like, oh, a diamond.
Yeah. I think it may possibly have been a dream.
Speaking of that, Calvin went around everyone and was like, heads or tails, right?
Yeah.
I got all of them right.
That's because Ginger, and you can't see it, but Ginger, and that's the Viking stuff in this. And just bear with us 1 minute. Plug him in. There you go. And as for that, hang on, let's come back here. Right.
Menu comments.
Put Phil Schneider. I'll put something up later, and you watch what the guy
I've
has.
seen it.
It's very, very
I saw a
interesting.
documentary with you.
It makes for very interesting watching. Let's put it that way. And I recommend you guys out there watch it. Look up Phil Schneider on YouTube and look up for his interview. Very interesting.
Did you hear what I said?
You went burp. Carol Watts learns that aliens are watching humans as they near the cosmos. Right. Observe.
Perhaps, by comparison to many others on this list, the claim of Carol Watts. I spit on you. The claim of Carol Watts are relatively pedestrian.
It means tamer than the others.
I know. I was going to say extraterrestrial. However, there are many who remain suspicious, with some noting.
With some noting,
I've been up since 7.
what's his desire?
For financial return, regaining the sightings.
So in other words, she said,
Regarding-
I've seen this, and this, I'll sell you the stories. So people immediately went,
all of which took place over a period of 6 months during 1967 in Wellington, Texas.
You notice it's all around the same time as well. Wasn't it 68 at the first mission? Was 68 or 69 when they landed on the moon?
69.
64. There you go. All that was leading up to that.
Who would claim to? He would claim. You made me confused because you said she. He would claim to first witness a cigar-shaped craft while driving between fields and buildings on the family farm. He approached the object, which hovered low to the ground, and was asked by a voice that was neither masculine nor feminine if he was
So as a vegan.
who was willing to submit to a
rigorous
rigorous physical examination. If he passed, he would be allowed to travel to the occupants into space. Although he would initially decline, of course he said yes. The invitation. It was the 60s. Of course he had a little bit of a tickle.
60s, what?
I meant a bum.
Dude.
I meant a bum.
A bum?
Yeah, vigorous physical testing. At first he said no.
What, anal probing?
Yeah, at first he was like, no, thank you. Ask me again. In subsequent meetings, he agreed and ultimately went into space with the aliens. He got a tight mouth, don't you?
Of course. Got a real pretty mouth, boy.
According to the conversation that took place during the cosmic journey, he was informed that these alien visitors would regularly come and go as they pleased
Oof.
from the Earth. Perhaps more willingly, he was informed that, worryingly, he was informed that many alien races in space were connected to humanity's apparent impending arrival in the cosmos and of humans becoming a spacefaring race.
So basic.
I'm so tired. I think they're decaf, whatever I've been drinking.
So basically,
Oh, Wayne said that the Phil Schneider documentary is on
Prime Video.
Prime
Amazon
Video.
Prime Video, right. Is it alright if I watch that later? Because that's some interesting shit. Right.
Sleeping again.
Is he not sleeping again?
I was trying.
So he is. So yeah, this guy in the late 60s on a farm suddenly saw a cigar-shaped craft.
And someone that was neither masculine nor feminine that's asked him if he was willing to submit to a vigorous physical examination.
And then some vegan came up to him and went,
Do you want a fist in?
I don't think they would have done, but they
They went, hey mate, I'll spit on it first.
lubrication as
And then he was
all
like, no,
is a
thank
must.
you.
Is a must.
He said, dry or die.
I do apologise. No, I don't. This show wouldn't be the
If
show.
it ain't tearing, I don't want to know. Get in there.
I have lost control of it. Anyway, so yeah, the 60s on a farm, cigar-shaped thing.
Went straight inside.
Some bloke suggested a very rigorous physical exam, and if you pass it, you can go into space. LSD or marijuana?
Marijuana will ever get you that messed up.
I don't know. I remember that one time when I was a DJ. Anyway,
Little crackhead.
um,
Also, this Stan Romanek story. That one is amazing.
Stan Romanek. Stan
Oh
Romanek?
no! What's that? The screen went black. Did you see that?
It did. That's because they're listening to us. I'm in black.
Here come the man. Listen, if it's dry.
And she's watching a barbecue program where they're talking about dry rub a lot. I just rest my case.
Oh, that one looks interesting.
The fact that he would only give his story to various books, papers, magazines for money, that immediately for me is a red flag.
He recorded 195 incidences of abduction and close encounters.
Have to have a look at
Says
that.
Wayne.
Is that on Amazon as well?
I would say so. He said also the Stan Romanek.
Romanek. I find that with most UFO cases that I've researched personally, the more credible ones are the ones who've not immediately don't really want to talk about it and don't ask for money.
Yeah, some weird stuff in that one.
Yeah, and they haven't got anything to gain by coming out with it. And in fact, a lot of them have lost a lot of things. They've lost tea with their mates and family, and they've been ostracised. So
you got over 100 people giving you well wishes. No. Okay.
I'll get to that in a minute.
Because you got a cold. Oh.
So what makes me worry about this one is straight away he's asking for money for his story. So I'm wanting to tell his story for money after being.
I know why, because they recorded the vigorous physical examination, and he's trying to make some moolah.
I was young and needed the money, and I still walk funny after that.
If you go it dry, you're gonna get more money.
At least spit in your hand first. That's what I say.
Good old.
God's sake. So you have been up too long, haven't you? I think that one, for the fact he was trying to sell it for money left, right, centre was.
Wait, it's only gone one, right? Oh, it's almost two. No, he
So,
can if he wants. It's fine.
Do you want to do this one, or shall I do this one? I'll do this one. Oh, I'm crying now. Oh dear. Right. Anyway, just see an alien turning up with a cucumber in his hand, saying, "Do you want it dry?"
I can peel it for you.
Howard Menger meets his former lover from a past life on Venus.
Not Venus rhymes with.
Venus. Anyway, let's get on with this one, shall we? Could somebody get Taylor her dried frog pills, please? According to alleged contactee Howard Menger, he was invited aboard a UFO in the summer of 1956. Yes. He not only was taken into outer space and to the moon, but he claimed to have witnessed alien civilizations and huge structures on its surface. Shush. An already bizarre set of encounters would turn even weirder, though, when a strange woman would attend a lecture Menger was giving on the subject of contact with space brothers and sisters. The woman's name was Connie Webber, and it was Menger's belief that he and Webber had once been a couple during a past life they had shared on Venus. That rhymes with Venus. No, it doesn't rhyme with shit.
I didn't say that.
Rather than Rather than having such a notion at that, Manga promptly divorced his wife and began. So this guy gave a lecture on his contacts with aliens and this, that, and the other. Met a woman who claimed to be his lover from a past life that they had on Venus, and he immediately ditched his wife, divorced her, and began a relationship with Weber.
Oh.
Perhaps even stranger was a television interview he gave in 1960, in which he stated that the entire story was false. However, rather than admit that he simply made the account up for notoriety or even money, he stated that he was part of a top-secret military experiment to test public reaction to alien contact. Do you know what? There could be
That
something.
seems.
That's quite plausible.
Hmm.
What do you guys
But-
reckon?
It also seems. Well, yeah, exactly. I was just about to say it. It also seems like he met someone and was like,
I think he met a newer model and went, "Oh, I'll have some of
I'm out, mate.
that." But
You know what? She actually put it in dry, so. Ugh.
But in the 60s, and you had the Hynek report going on, and the USAF and the military were doing plausible deniability, and they were also doing false flags to test public reaction. So there could be something in that, like nowadays, if there was the aliens have come down to see us, ages, what do you guys think? I think most of the world's population would be like, yeah, we know. But back then,
What came down from outer space?
aliens.
What?
Aliens.
Yeah, he's used to it.
But back then in the 60s, it was a case of false flag, and
It's a bit of a project
so what do you think?
going on there. Just a little bit of Project
Project Bluebird. Yeah, exactly. Project Bluebird. That was a Hynek report.
I watched the program.
Oh, the series. I've got the actual report
I know.
somewhere. I don't know where, but it is somewhere. Oh, talking of that, Wayne, did you get the email I sent you with that CIA report on remote viewing on Mars? Because that was quite interesting stuff. So, what do you make of that? I reckon, yes, A, he was like, oh, I'll have a bit of that. B, I think there could be something in the false flag stuff. It sounds plausible, doesn't it? What did you make of that? The CIA report. Some of it's interesting, I think. Right. Let's go on to number 4. Luciano Galli. It's a trip into space during his lunch hour. What was he smoking?
What was he fisting?
Can you do this one without mentioning fisting?
It depends.
Going in dry, going in wet, spitting in hand,
I did not say
lube?
wet. That's disgusting. In July 1957, Italian businessman
Luciano Galli.
was returning back to work in Rome following his lunch break when a black car suddenly pulled up alongside him. The window wound down and a gentleman with piercing black eyes leaned out and asked
Galli.
if he remembered him.
Galli.
Was about to respond that he didn't when all of a sudden a wave of memories washed through his mind, making him realize that he did, indeed, remember the strange man. He had seen him previously on the streets of Rome. The man asked
Galli.
if he would like to go with them, and he ultimately got in the back of the vehicle. They would drive to the outskirts of the city where a saucer-shaped UFO was waiting for them. After they boarded it, the craft shot off into space. The spaceship would take them to a huge mothership, which
Galli.
was then given a tour of. He was ultimately returned to the spot where he was taken. While many would struggle to believe his account, he would claim that he didn't care what people thought. There were several similar reports around the world in 1957 that perhaps lend him a bit of credibility.
If I remember rightly, wasn't this guy a security guard? Because it happened more than once. Or am I thinking of a very similar case? I'm sure there was one very similar with a security guard that happened a few times. So what do you make of that? He's on his lunch break. And then a car pulls up and somebody with black eyes goes, "Do you remember me?" Woof, and zaps all the memories, and you go, "Oh, Richard and Ted. Oh, Jesus, yes, I even remember you there." And then he gets taken up into a ship and up into a mothership, and then he goes, "Oh, I Jesus, I remember all this." What do you think?
Yeah, I believe it.
The thing that gets me is everything's happening. You don't know, do you? It's
Do I say I believe it? I ain't saying anymore.
I'm
I'm so tired.
I don't.
Sheldon,
I
you need
don't.
to hear so
I
I
don't
can
believe it.
nap.
No. What do you guys make? What do you reckon to that? I'm Stan Romanek. Yeah, abductions. Because all this stuff, when you're dealing with it, it all sounds, everything sounds familiar, and everything. As I, you've got to have so many witnesses and a hell of a lot of credibility to yourself.
Well, that's like with anything now, isn't it?
Well, it's like this show. I mean, we do this show and the Dark Mirror show purely because we like doing it. We don't do it for.
But heating's not on, is it? Because the back door's open.
Don't think so. We don't do it for money or anything like that. We certainly don't make any money.
Mm.
Do it because we love doing it, and we've always loved the paranormal and UFOs and cryptozoology and stuff. And
Speaking of, Wayne, not this Wayne, Sheldon's Wayne,
Sheldon's
dropped
dad.
an advert on his YouTube video, but they didn't give him any money.
He needs to take that up with YouTube.
Yeah.
I think some of these stories that we've come out with today have a bit of credibility to them, but I also think the majority of them came out at the time that they did pulp sci-fi movies. I think the majority of them are rubbish, quite frankly, but some do have credibility. What do you reckon?
I almost asked if you're born in the 60s, but I know you weren't.
No, I was born in
78.
72.
78.
I was born in 1972.
78.
I'm 48.
No. 70.
Yes, Taylor, I was born in.
42.
Yes, I'm 42. Yes, I wish. What do you reckon anyway? See, I'm
Wait, what's
sorry.
the story?
Oh. See, as much as I love watching Ozzy Osbourne and his family doing their paranormal thing at Jack, purely for the comedy value, I think this is maybe a little bit to it.
What?
This show. Jack Osbourne does one, but he shows like all the really dodgy videos that are around. Boogie Woogie scares.
I sent you the links to both documentaries, Wayne.
Oh, nice one, thank you. But to be absolutely honest, if they were sitting here now doing a show with us, I'd be like, yes, mate, bring it on. Imagine Ozzy Osbourne.
Do you know there's people my age that, you know, Ozzy Osbourne did a song with Post Malone?
Yeah.
They don't know who it is, and they're like, oh, whoever this Ozzy is, Post Malone's giving him so much recognition now, hasn't he? Do you know who Ozzy Osbourne is? Okay. Oh, hello, Kerry.
Oh, is that Kerry? Hello, Kerry. We have one of our old presenters on here, Kerry Greenwest. Nice to see you back here. That's because it's this time of day, that's why, isn't it? She's not at home with her cauldron cooking up potions and things, are you? Talking of that, we've got to come see you in the summer when the lockdown's finished. Anyway, right, number 3. I think it's number 3, yes. Hubert Lewis meets aliens from Venus living among us. I think one's here. Finished?
Oh!
You finished gagging?
Yeah.
Right, sure?
Yeah.
Do you want to read one out?
Feels like it's in my chest.
Do you want to read?
Come on out.
I'll read. Oh, yeah, you did, didn't you? I'll read this one out. According to news agent Hubert Lewis, and again 1957, all in the same era, all after the Roswell incident, all when all the magazines and
Kerry
newspapers.
Said she got a chance to tune in for once.
Well, we are on YouTube, so you can tune in anytime you want.
No, but it's not. It's different when it's live.
No, I
innit?
know. Nice to see you here. So, thank you for joining us. Yeah, back then, 60s, late 50s, 60s, early 70s. That was when
80s, 90s.
that's when all the papers and magazines were coming out with all the alien stories and this, that, and the other, and they were making the schlock horrors, the black and white B movies, weren't they? So they were
I just thought I was like 90s, 20s, and 21st century, right?
19th, 20th,
And I was like, in
21st.
my head, I went, how did we go from 20s to like 2001 to 21,000? Because the 21st century, I thought it was 21,000. Like this year's 2121. It's not. It's 2021.
Just rest your brain a minute. Right.
She catches up on replay.
Right, this dude, news agent Herbert Lewis, 1957, witnessed a disc-shaped object and its occupants whilst he was cycling through the town of Church Stretton in Shropshire in order to pick up newspapers. How did he see all the occupants? I mean,
There's a place called Stretton. Don't you do investigations there?
there is a Stretton near Surrey,
Yeah.
but not Church Stretton.
No, just Stretton.
That's Shropshire, home to the SES.
Shropshire.
Shropshire. So he was cycling and he could. So it's funny, man. He saw a UFO and
Isn't it money, Penny?
yes, and he saw all the occupants in it. That would have to be incredibly low for him to see that. When a tall figure appeared in the road in front of him, I remember this story. Lewis demanded to know who the stranger was. Who the bloody hell are you, stopping me cycling in this road? And almost without thinking, the occupant replied that the newsagent need not fear him. So you're cycling down the road, some dude suddenly appears and goes, "Do not fear me."
I bet it didn't sound like a male or a female when he said, if you pass this vigorous exam.
Shut up. The two would speak for around half an hour, with the metallic disc hovering in the background all the time. You would have thought more people in a sleepy town, a sleepy village in Shropshire would have seen it, especially if it was hovering there for about half an hour. As their conversation progressed, the wind, which had previously been relatively brisk, seemed to drop. Although, strangely, Lewis could still hear it, so I would imagine from whatever propulsion unit it was. Following the meeting, Lewis claims to have developed certain psychic abilities like the other gentleman. Furthermore, he claimed to receive visits from high-ranking police officers who would advise him to forget certain matters, advice to which he initially agreed. However, several months later, he would encounter the alien beings again and their craft, this time in the field. And he said he was informed that the aliens were from the planet Venus and were living in disguise among the population on Earth.
Not very well disguised if he straight away knew it was an alien.
That's one of those. It's plausible, but some things stick out. Like if there's a bloody UFO hovering in the sky that close, you can see all the occupants, and it's there for a good half an hour or so. You would have thought there'd be a hell of a lot more eyewitnesses.
And also, my personal opinion, I think that people say, yeah, the police told me not to say anything because
it has a bit of credibility.
Yeah. And if someone's like, well, why didn't you say anything at the time? Because they've only just thought up of this story. They can be like, oh, the police said not to say anything, but I'm ready now.
Personally, I would have thought overhearing. It doesn't matter where in the world you're going to have the military come around and say, interview you, and then go, do not speak of this to anybody, not the police. But it's lovely. It's a wobbly bit of card. So what do you reckon? Yay or nay? Did he see this, or was he just making it up?
Yay or nay, or catch up on replay?
But we will leave that one with you. Moving swiftly on, I think we're on number 2 now, aren't we?
No, we're at number 1, aren't we?
People are reluctant to speak up for fear of ridicule. Unfortunately, I mean, you're right, but that's what I've said about most of this stuff. Some of it, I think, is out and out fantasy land. But there's been the odd story that we've spoken about on today's show that has that little tiny bit of credibility to it. Or has that, it could, isn't it? like
Cool.
like that. It could have happened, but
Should it have happened?
I don't. Well, it's that bit. I think it's glaringly obvious. If you got, as I said, if you got a UFO that big and that close, you can see the occupants, and you're the only person in the whole town that's seen it.
Yeah, but it's the same as that guy that was on the train and he was like, "Yeah, I saw this alien," and his entire family. What about every single other person that was on the train?
The guy who met the alien on his own in Mumbai on the train in Mumbai,
Yeah,
and then he met the guy again
Again.
in South America
yeah,
with his family. He was introduced to his family and some of his friends.
yeah.
Not on a train that second time.
No, but I'm saying if you're on a train, especially in somewhere like Mumbai, there's going to be a lot of people on there. Not
Well,
just you and an
They're normally
alien.
packed, and I would have thought that a white-haired, glowing white-haired gentleman would stick out amongst a lot of people from Mumbai.
You would have thought.
When you have well-respected people with standing in the community, it makes it more plausible. They have more to lose than a newspaper salesman. Yeah, but it's still, he's the only person who's come forward and said about it. That's the only thing that gets it for me.
Is this last one number 1 because we've got like 4 minutes?
It doesn't matter if we go over slightly. We've got 2 more to do, then that's it. I think this was number 2.
I think, yeah, that's what I just
Hang on.
said.
That was number 2.
No, it wasn't.
That was number 3. So yeah, we've got 2 left, told you. Sir Peter Horsley talks with an alien in a London sitting room. Well, there's a bit of gravitas for you, Sir Peter Horsley.
Oh, look at the first sentence.
Yeah. How's about this for
Speaking of reputation.
having a bit of reputation to go behind you? Sir Peter Horsley had a remarkable career in the RAF. And indeed, at his height, he was Deputy Commander-in-Chief of RAF Strike Command. How's about that for having a bit of clout behind you? However, in 1997, I remember this, after he'd retired, he released the book Sounds from Another Room, in which he recounted speaking with an extraterrestrial being in a dark room at a London house. As a result, he was almost universally cut adrift by his military colleagues. Late 90s, yeah, if they were high-ranking people, they would have gone, "Nope, nothing doing me," because then it would have raised down the moon.
I was born 3 years after.
You were. Horsley stated how he was invited in 1954. So this happened again in the 50s, but he didn't speak about it until nearly 50 years later. In fact, over 50 years later. No, nearly 50 years later. He was invited in 1954 to meet a Mr. Janus, who was the two-headed Roman god.
You know what's crazy? I had Finley at 20, so whenever he turns like 1, 2, 3, I'll be 21, 22, 23. How cool is that?
You will. He was invited to meet Mr. Janus, who would speak to the military man from a shadowy corner in the room. Horsley wrote about how he had a distinct feeling that Janus was able to read his mind, and furthermore, he would keep firm control on the conversation at all times. The conversation revolved around Britain's future nuclear capabilities. Now, remember, we did it. One of the stories we said about before, where the aliens turned us, and they were talking to and saying, "You guys are almost there in joining us in the space race, so we're going to be keeping a close eye on you from now on," just like Star Trek does. So this is a similar thing. Conversation revolves around Britain's future nuclear capabilities, and Janus demonstrated an intricate knowledge of the British military, as is to convince Horsley of his authenticity. Hi, Pete, mate, you're right. And it was following this meeting that Horsley began to rise rapidly up the ranks of the RAF.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that rise is connected to his meeting with Janus is open to debate. However, despite the bizarre nature of Horsley's claims, it would be strange for such a decorated individual to choose to draw attention to himself for no good reason, and that's what I said.
That's what Wayne said.
Yeah, and I think out of all the stories we have read,
that one seems the
most plausible, and it ties in with a couple of others, doesn't it?
I don't know. I was here, wasn't here.
The one where there was a couple of other stories and they were saying, "Oh, we're watching you guys, we're keeping an eye."
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
So you've had the aliens watching us from the 50s because we were.
His papers are available to view on the at the Imperial War Museum.
Thank you. I reckon that's quite plausible, that one. why would a guy who was that high up and the deputy commander in chief of RAF Strike Command, why would he turn around after retiring and
What is
everything,
that?
and then turn around and say this happened?
It's the ball.
And he was, he could have lost all his friends, his credibility, everything, but he still spoke out and said about it. Granted, he wrote a book about it, but I think that's the out of all of them. That's perhaps plausible. Do you?
Is that one of Ralphie's toys?
Do you?
Yeah. But is that one of Ralphie's toys?
It's something that appeared in the background yesterday. So, what do you guys reckon to that one? Your tootsies are cold. Well, we'll finish it. Yes? No?
I
Yes?
said like
Yes.
8 times. Oh, now look who's not paying attention.
I do that.
Basically.
No, that's not going there. No, I do not need an alien probing. Anyway, today has been one of those shows. The Rearview Mirror show will be back every Sunday at 7 o'clock. Had to move it forward because of Junior's bedtime.
He's in a routine, a good one, because he stays asleep until 7 or 8.
And that's enough about Sheldon.
Good boy, Sheldon.
And the Dark Mirror show will always be Friday nights at 9 p.m. So make of that lot what you will. I will put that.
We haven't read number 1.
That was number 1.
No, it wasn't.
That wasn't number 1. Do you want to read number 1?
No, I need to wait to see me carry on.
Right. It's all this. You put me off bloody everything. Number 1. Gosta Carlison develops pharmaceutical companies following meeting with aliens. What are you doing? You need a pee? I'll read this then. Okay, I think number 2 was definitely the most plausible so far. Anyway, whatever the authenticity of the claims of Swedish ice hockey player Gosta Karlsson, a location in the town of Ängelholm now boasts a concrete memorial to the whole thing. Karlsson claimed that while he was walking in the country in May 1946, he witnessed a strange saucer-shaped craft landing in a nearby field. Furthermore, the occupants of the craft ventured outside and communicated with him and even passed on natural remedy recipes. Apparently, his meeting was so valuable that Karlsson would go on to found 2 pharmaceutical companies because of it and because of the recipes that were given to him. He was ultimately very successful and went on to become the owner of the very first professional ice hockey team in Sweden. All of this success, according to Karlsson, was down to this chance meeting with extraterrestrials that afternoon in Ängelholm. Needless to say, many people in the UFO community struggle to believe his story, at least in full, so they believe a bit of it. Whether his account is true or not, the monument is one of the only 2 pertaining to UFO incidents in all of Europe. There's one up in Canada as well, isn't there? The other one, got this wrong, the other one being in Poland to mark the Emicillian affair. There's another one up in Canada as well. Seen it. And you can get coins with it as well. Chance meeting with aliens, gave him herbal remedies, and he founded 2 companies on it. Again, it's one of the plausible. Most of these things happen to people on their own. If it's like with anything in the paranormal world, be it UFO, ghosts, cryptozoology, anything. If you haven't got, no one's going to believe you anyway. But either way, the guy became successful, and to be fair, if you're that successful and then you turn around and say, "Look, dude, I
need to find me that alien."
I met an alien, and he gave me these recipes," and that's he risked losing everything by that, and he didn't. So again, there's something in it. I still reckon the one we read out before that was the most plausible.
Go onto our stream quickly.
Onto our stream.
It looks like it's ended the stream.
No, we're still.
No, look. BS5 when the Dark Mirror Show next goes live.
No, we're still live.
Okay, cool.
See? Yeah, I reckon. Found in two.
I could only hear half of it, but from what I heard, I need to find me that alien.
met an alien, gave him herbal remedies, recipes, and he founded 2 pharmaceutical companies and became really rich because of this chance meeting.
Well, that's either really good for him, or somebody gave him these recipes and were like, look, these have been handed down in my family for generations. And he was like, well, I don't want to admit that someone gave me recipes because I have to give them shares and stuff.
But wouldn't you risk losing everything by coming out and saying an alien gave me the recipes?
Like, if you're doing herbal remedies and stuff, you've got some people that believe in aliens.
But it is Sweden as well, and they're a lot more open-minded. They're European, so they're a lot more open-minded than, say, like North America and stuff like that.
We're not in Europe, are we?
Yes.
Right, so we're European then.
Yes.
I never thought we were European because we don't use euros. So I thought it was just places that use euros that are European. Oh, but we've got a monarchy, don't we? What's that of Sweden?
Anyway, we will.
I didn't take geography for a reason, I'll tell you that much. Also, I was only getting A's in it because I cheated. Did you hear that? I cheated. They wouldn't move us in our exams, so I'd be like, thank you.
And on that bombshell, it's times.
That's the EU. Oh yeah.
Europe is it's a continent. We're in the European continent.
No. Wait, am I right, Wayne? Am I right or is he wrong? Hang on, no. Am I right or is he right? Because we're
not we're not in the EU anymore, but we're in part of Europe. Europe is a continent that contains all the different countries.
We're an island, though. We're not in a continent.
I think you're suffering from incontinence of the mouth.
I'm Googling it really quickly.
On that bombshell, we shall be back on Friday with the Dark Mirror Show. Look, Europe is a continent, the EU is a separate entity. We've left the EU.
England? Shit. Let me
Okay.
keep reading.
We'll be back on Friday.
England is separated from continental Europe by the North Sea.
Yeah, separated, but we're still part of it.
I'm not having that, mate. Listen, we're an island, so as far as I'm concerned, I am correct. So, listen, Queen, if you're listening, Lizzie, hello. You have to change it.
So, on today's show so far, we have sorted out 10 loads of apparent meetings with aliens. Fisting, apparently, according to this one.
Well, I didn't say a fist.
Which is what happens when you're met by, vegan aliens.
Yeah. Okay.
And we seem to have put the world to rights. And the UK isn't part of Europe. Just have to sail on the Atlantic a bit more. Yeah, we will. What? Oh, they're both... Both asleep. Both fast asleep. So yes, today's show has been
this evening
absolutely full of it, and I think, quite frankly, just before 9 o'clock tonight, I'm going to re-share this at 9 o'clock, so then everybody can have another listen to our complete and utter nonsense. So we'll be back next Sunday with another.
Speaking of nonsense, no, I'm kidding, I'm not doing it.
No.
Oh, it ended.
Another list of irreverentness from all of us, or from us too, anyway. That's it. I've had enough. She's done me headed today. We'll see you on Friday with the Dark Mirror Show, and we'll be back next Sunday at 7 p.m. with the I've just sucked a lemon face.
My butthole face.
And the Rearview Mirror Show. So everybody who joined us today, thank you very much, and everybody who's watching us on YouTube, thank you very much. And maybe I'll have a straitjacket for her by next week. Kerry, so glad you joined in. You're going to have to come and be a guest back on the show again at some point. Can we go now?
Look at my nose.
I need my tablets. Right. Goodbye from me.
See you guys later. I'm going to go see if I can join Europe.
Goodbye from her.
Wait, I'm so confused. Are we in Europe or not? I need to Google it again.
Yes, we are in Europe. We are part of Europe. We are not in the EU. We are part of the continent of Europe.
Is Britain... Hang on. Is Britain in Europe? Oh,
Right, you done?
yes, but also no.
Right.
Nobody can agree on it.
We are not in the EU, which is the European Economic Community. Or
Why do I keep
EEC,
saying EU?
European
Do I
Union.
keep saying
Same
EU?
bloody thing.
Do I keep saying
The
EU?
continent of Europe
Yes.
includes the UK. Although there is a sea between us and France, we are still part of Europe.
Britain is not a continent of itself,
No, I
but
know.
it is on the European continental shelf. Therefore, yes. So, I mean, I am right in saying that it's not a continent. It's an island.
Nobody ever said it was a continent.
No, I know.
Say goodnight. Say bye-bye.
Good evening.
You wonder why I'm on antidepressants.
Aww.
And thank you for all the well wishes. I meant to say all the well wishes about me having my cancer's come back. It's not bad, tiny little bit. I'm having an operation. It'll be over and done with. Maybe they will give me something to cope with this one. I don't know.
You don't need anything to cope with me. Just sit back and enjoy the madness.
So I will see everybody on Friday with the Dark Mirror show, and back next Sunday 7 p.m. with another round of this. Goodbye.
Bye.